I'm really happy to see a lot of Google Slides users because what we're going to show you today, both tools are really highly integrated with Google Slides. So Jamboard and Pear Deck, like if you're a Google Slides user, then you're going to find Jamboard to be very friendly. And if you have used Google Slides in the past, even if you haven't, Pear Deck integrates right in with Google Slides. So I find Google Slides to be one of the easiest Google tools to master. I actually find it easier than even Google Docs because of the manipulation you have with your images and things. So I'm glad to see a lot of answers with Google Slides. Zoom, and of course we're using Zoom and things like that to connect to our students. So that's all good stuff. All right, so I am Christina Connolly. In case you didn't know, I am the technology coach for the City of Burlington School District. And
I am Dawn Lambert, the supervisor of instruction for English Language Arts and Social Studies for grades 5 through 12.
Okay, so we have for you today, we're going to share most of the time that we spend today is going to be talking about two new tools new to our district. They're not new on the scene, but they are new to us. And we're going to explain to you exactly what you can do to use these new tools to make your classroom lessons more engaging, more interactive. You're going to find participation and collaboration. You're going to find the 4 C's that we talk about when it comes to technology integration really become apparent when you're using these tools. So these are wonderful, wonderful tools that you can use. And they're easy and they're free, and you don't have to do anything really too difficult to get them going. So we're going to start with Jamboard, and this time I'm going to just release my screen and let Miss Lambert get set up with hers, so she can show you. She's going to do Jamboard today, and I'm going to show you Pear Deck, and then we have some even more tools for you that we'll share at the end.
So let me just get my screen out. My screen is up, right?
Yep.
Okay. I always do that. I'm in class. I always ask my student teacher, is my screen up? She's like,
I know.
All right. So I'm going to show you guys Jamboard, which is a great interactive whiteboard that is actually made to use with Google. In fact, you will find it in your G Suite in your little waffle. I'm going to show you where it's at in a moment, but just a show of hands, and I can't see everyone at once, so maybe Christina, if you can give me, but thumbs up. How many of you guys have used the interactive whiteboard feature in Zoom? I know that some of you are using Zoom. So one of the things that I think is really great about this platform is that Jamboard is, I think, more user-friendly than the whiteboard feature in Zoom, and also it can be used with Zoom. It can be used with any video platform that you're teaching from. So what you're going to do is to get to Jamboard, and I am going to share a Jamboard presentation with you shortly, but to get to Jamboard on your own, all you have to do is go over to your waffle and you're going to click on it. And if you scroll down, you're going to notice that it is actually in there now. So it wasn't, it just recently was added. And if you click on it, it will take you to Jamboard. You'll see that I've done a few Jamboards already. These are some of the Jamboards I've been working on with my class. But I'm going to open this one because this is the one that I'm using today to show you what Jamboard is and how you can use it. And these are just some things that I've learned using it over the past couple of weeks. But there are a lot of people out there that are posting stuff regularly, and you might even think of some ways to use it in other ways than I even show. In fact, I was going through a training session, and I thought of an idea from something I actually use in my classroom, and I think it will work really well, and I'm going to actually, that's going to be the last thing that I'm going to show you. So what is it? It's an interactive whiteboard that's going to allow you to collaborate with your students, and I'm going to show you how right now, and then I'm going to actually share this with you, which I'll need to go back in the classroom for a minute. So if you go to share, it will give you the opportunity to create a link, but if you go down to this little change right now, what you have to make sure you do is you have to make sure that if you're going to share the link and you want the students to be able to collaborate with you, you want to change it from viewer, which is what it'll be on, to editor. And then you have a few options. There's also the option to actually share a Jamboard, which with each individual student, if you ever wanted to create an interactive like worksheet like I don't want to say worksheet packet, but like a handout packet where you wanted the kids to be able to like fill out things throughout it, you would be able to do that. So you're going to click editor, and then you'll be able to just copy that link. And then I'm going to actually post this out. So at any point, if you want to go into Classroom and click on using Jamboard in the classroom, that resource is there. You'll be able to get on there. I am going to go back in though right now and change the setting because I don't want anyone to actually move it around right this second. So what Jamboard is, like I said, is an interactive whiteboard. And if you go in there, try not to go too far ahead because I am going to go through the Jamboard right now. But I also want to grab my laptop.
So, Dawn, while you're taking a second, I'm going to just going to interject. You
Okay.
can assign a Google Jamboard through Google Classroom the same way you would assign a regular Google Doc. And you can also decide if you want students to view when you assign it, or whether you want them to edit, or whether you want each student to get their own copy. So it behaves very similarly to the other Google Docs or Google app type like slides and all of the other, I'm going on, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, so if you went in and created an assignment and you added, and you went into your Google Drive, and you wanted to assign this, then all you would have to do is once it's attached, you would either put students could view, students could edit, or you can make a copy for each student.
Right. So you can do that right there while you assign it to.
Yep. All right. So one of the things I did want to show is, and a lot of our students are getting their devices now, and their devices, the new devices that are going out are touchscreen. So I think this is one of the features that I think is really great. If you wanted the students to be able to interact on a whiteboard like they would even like in the classroom if they were coming up to the whiteboard, once they have their device, they can do this. Like some people are still okay doing the little pen and you can write on it, you know, but sometimes that's awkward. Some people are better than others, but if you're in it and your students have their device, you can write pretty easily. And it will tell you, you'll see like a little picture will pop up that will show you who's writing at that time. So you could create anything and have the students physically write on it. And we're going to look at some of the different activities that students can do with it. So I set up a few and I tried to do a couple of different things. I actually started with a history activity because I'm a history teacher originally. So, but I have a lot of other activities as well. And like I said, these are just some suggestions of ways that you could do this with your classroom. You know, if you wanted the students to get into groups and you wanted them to label the 13 colonies, one of the nice things about this is once you create it, up at the top is where your little frames are. If you click on this, you can at any time, if this was a slideshow with just this, you could go up here and you could duplicate this as many times as you needed groups. And you could send them out into their breakout rooms. And once you did that, you could label this like group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and the students could work together to label the map, you know, and then you could take it a step further. One of the nice things about Jamboard is that it has a lot of different tools on it. So I want to kind of look at those tools really quick with you. So if you look over here, there's a pen. The pen will allow you to write on the anywhere on the screen. It also has the erase, like almost like a smartboard would. You have the select, which would allow you to move and manipulate things. So many people that are using Google Slides for that right now, I know I've done that in some of my classes at the beginning. I had them labeling things and moving things around on a Google Slide. You could do the same thing with this interactive whiteboard.
Right, and you can see me right now moving the states around as I go, and you're seeing my little icon showing up depending on where I'm going with my name, my state name. So that's what you would see with your students. You would be able, and then you can click on their icon. If if you don't know their picture, if you don't know that's them, you can click. You should be able to click and see who did what right there. I'm not sure if it's going to let you because the picture might be in the way now. Dawn.
That's fine. And then I'm going to come back up to the sticky note one in a moment. You can add images. So let's say you wanted to take this a step further and you tell them once they get into their breakout room that you also want them to find an image that represents their colony or what their colony stood for. So they could go in. There are two ways you could do it. They could do it in an internet search, but if you wanted them to just stay in this platform, they could just click on Google image search, and let's just say that they wanted to put, I don't know, corn, because they wanted to put that for the Garden State because they knew that that grew there. So then once you go there, there are some options. You can click any type of picture. You can go with a face, a photo. I like to use clip art for things like this. So then you would just click that and they would be able to make it. And so, or let's just say you wanted them to label the middle colonies, the southern colonies. You could tell them to go in and pick a different color for each group. Is it not working? Why is it not letting me write right this second?
The picture's in the way, Dawn.
Oh, you know what? Oh, I'd have to send the picture to the back. Sorry.
Yeah, you can send it to the back.
Totally forgot about that. So.
Yeah.
All right, so then you also have the option of a text box. And then this last feature is the laser. So if you wanted to, if you were talking to them about something and you wanted to point out one in particular, it would just underline it and then it goes away. But the feature I like the best, actually, honestly, on Jamboard is the sticky note. I wish I knew about it at the beginning of the year because I like to use sticky notes for my KWLs. And for the first one, I used a couple of different programs and I didn't like them. So you could have the students each create a sticky note to post information on a Jamboard. And what happens is it comes up like this and then they type in their information and they click save and the sticky note will go onto the board and then they can click on it. They can edit and change the color of it. And they each have their own post-it note. You'll be able to tell who did it. And so there are a lot of, I think there are a lot of really good things that you could do with that. I think about entrance and exit tickets and KWLs for the most part, but there's lots of things you could have them use post-its to label something. So I think that's a really great feature. So in addition to labeling maps, you could also do a Venn diagram, you know, and you could do this two ways. I just pulled a Venn diagram off of the internet, but also you could create, you could use the circle to create your Venn diagram also and do the same thing. If you wanted them to compare two items, you could type the information in ahead of time and then have them drag it in. You could have them write it in, especially if they have, you know, the touch screen, it makes it a little bit easier. But that's a good compare contrast. It's always a good whiteboard activity. Then one of the other things you could do is you could have them do a close read of something. And this is a little small now, but they can always zoom it in to see. And then you would just go in. I just pulled a piece of PDF off really quickly. It's a little fuzzy because I made it larger, but if you took an actual PDF, and one of the things I really like to do is there's a tool called snipping tool. It's on our desktop if you go into the apps or if you search for it. And you could just snip whatever you need off of the internet and copy it right in. And then if you post their annotated bookmark, or if you have a way that you like them to annotate, you can put that there, and then they could go through and they could underline, you know, and do whatever else, you know, put a little smiley face. If you wanted to put some of these annotations over here so they could actually drag them over, you could too. So And then, so the next one I left blank because I want to show you how you could pull an image in again. I already showed you that once. But let's just say you're working in science on the water cycle and you wanted the students to be able to diagram the water or label the water cycle. So if you go into images and type in water cycle, there are a lot of different images that show up, and some of them actually already have the labels on them. So you could pick this out and then you could have the students label it, or you could make it yourself, or you could get a blank one and put you could build the arrows and things in, whatever you need. But you could have the kids do this, and they could do it independently. They could do it together as a class. They could do it in groups. I like using Jamboard, like I said, for entrance and exit tickets, but also for collaboration in groups, because if you break them out into rooms, you could give them each a slide where they can jot down their information. You could put questions. You did like a block and put like 4 questions in there, and they're discussing and answering those questions. Or if you were doing like a jigsaw group where they're filling in one section and everyone else is filling in another one. And then I'm not actually going to solve them right now.
You sure, Dawn? You sure you don't want to do that?
If you wanted the students to be able, I know that's one thing that math teachers are looking for, resources for students to be able to actually solve problems. And Ray Bonnet had sent me a website that has a lot of, I can post it on the classroom. It has a lot of different math worksheets, and I literally just snipped 2 questions. You could do a question of the day, post 1 question in Jamboard, and make enough slides for each student, and they could each answer it.
Right, and you know what else, Dawn, if I can interrupt for 1 second, a lot of these programs that we're finding, they don't have the special tools that we need for like the advanced math classes, like the exponents, or, I mean, I'm not a math person, but I know there's a ton of other symbols out there that you just can't find when you're trying to use your keyboard. So this will allow them to actually draw symbols with the pen, and they can do whatever they want that way.
And then, oh, I wanted to do one. So before I get to the last slide, one of the things that I used to like to do also was annotate images. So probably one of the ones that I used to use a lot in US 1 is the Paul Revere engraving. In fact, let me see if I can. Let's see how good Google search is.
You can copy and paste from online as well. We've been using this because it just cuts out the having to find something online and for time's sake. But you can actually copy and paste your own pictures if you don't find what you're looking for right here, or if you have something like a picture of yourself, for instance.
So, you know, this is one where a lot of times we'll look at this, we'll discuss it, we'll annotate, I'll have them annotate it and say, like, what things do they notice about the image? We start out and then we talk about the Boston Massacre and like why it was used. So that's always a great, or like if you know there's an image that isn't maybe correct, have the students look at it and say, well, what do you know is wrong with it and why? So those are great ways to interact. But the way I'm probably going to use this in class tomorrow. I wanted to wait until I did this, but I like to do what stuck. That's how I like to end my class a lot of times. I do it often, and you know, and I know a lot of you do as well. I've seen it in a lot of classrooms. Near the end of the period, I'll put a little post-it on the student's desk, and before they leave, I tell them that they have to write one thing that's stuck about today's lesson and post it on the door before they walk out. So I kind of thought, maybe I'm corny, but I kind of thought it was cute. I created a what stuck door. If you're doing your lesson at the end, you can say, okay, guys, before you leave today, I need you to go into Jamboard and I need you to post a sticky one thing that you learned today and post it on the door or around the door. And that'll give you a quick formative assessment of something that stuck with them today or an exit ticket question. So I think there are a lot of really, really great ways that this can be used. It's still they're still adding to it all the time. So I'm hoping like some other things, like for instance, I know right now, like you can't embed videos into it. That's one thing you can't do. But for like solving problems, or let's say like you're doing grammar practice, you might put it up a paragraph and have the kids reading it and editing it. I think about, like, I used to do entrance edits where the students would get a passage, they would read it, they would circle or correct anything that they thought was wrong. So I think there are a lot of really, really great ways that it could be used. And I think that there's a lot of benefits for it. So
yeah, I like that you can essentially turn any of your worksheets that you might have or any pictures into an interactive activity. And I did have the question, what's the difference between this and Google Slides? And they are very similar. However, the ease of use for the students with Jamboard is it's a lot cleaner, and the drawing tools are a little bit, they're a little bit better when it comes to like being able to find them and being able to know, not getting lost in the menu. The ease of the use for the kids is probably the biggest difference that I can think of. And then the sticky notes aspect is not really available in Slides. You have to create that yourself. So there's a little less of a teacher of the work involved for you with Jamboard.
And I know, like, I've used, like I said, I've used a couple of sticky note programs, and I found things happening. Like, for instance, the one that I used, the kids had to each make their own sticky, but as they made them, it covered each other. So they were trying to write in it and move it, and they couldn't. This lets them write their sticky before it posts on the door, so it doesn't impact them creating a sticky and impacting another student's sticky as well.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit cleaner and a little bit less of a learning curve if you're looking for something quick and easy. And this is going to be in the next week or so, you're going to see this fully integrated with Google Meet. So if you're a Google Meet user, you'll go to the 3 dots in the corner during a meet, and you'll be able to access your whiteboard without having to leave the meet. You'll just get it right there, and you can just pop it up and do what you need to do.
So it'll be, for Google Meet, it'll be just like the whiteboard in Zoom. But if you wanted to use it and still use Zoom, it's all you have to do is present your screen.
Right, we're using it right now with Zoom, so it works either way.
And I am going to actually, so this is what I want you to do really quickly. I'm going to change the settings.
See, this is what I love about this too, is Google products, is you can just change the setting, and when you're ready to lock a question, you can stop accepting responses from your students by just changing them back to viewer. So you don't have to take responses when you're done or when the time is up.
Right. So I know I'm going to turn it over to Christina, but as she begins, if you wouldn't mind, just if you'd like to create your own sticky and put one thing that you think you'd be able to use Jamboard for in your classroom, that'll be my exit part of the activity. And I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay, so we'll give you a couple minutes to put your sticky up, and I'm going to get my Pear Deck presentation ready for you just in about 30 seconds. Okay, so I am just about ready. I posted in the Google Classroom a link to the presentation. However, you certainly do not have to follow along with that, because we're going to be doing 3 different things simultaneously. So if it's too much to follow on your own device and my device and then join me in a Pear Deck, then by all means don't click on the link. But if you want to see the full presentation, you can click on the link and you'll have access to everything that we're going to be doing. But you can certainly just sit by and watch your screen, because I'm going to be putting my screen up now to show you all about Pear Deck.
And I locked Jamboard.
Okay. All right. So Pear Deck. Dawn, did I not do cartwheels like in the hallways when we finally got Pear Deck? I was so excited because Pear Deck is a Google Slides add-on, and typically our district is not allowing add-ons, and that's something that we're not ready to move forward with yet, but we made an exception for Pear Deck, and you will now be able to install the Pear Deck extension, or excuse me, add-on through the Google Chrome Web Store. So don't worry if you don't know what I'm talking about, if it sounds like it's a different language. I'm going to go through all of that in just a minute. So just what is Pear Deck? Again, it's a Google Slides add-on. So what that means is that you're not going to be able to go to peardeck.com and use it. It's integrated with Google Slides. So the way you access it is by going to Google Slides. So it works with Google Slides, or it can work with Microsoft PowerPoint, but we're not a Microsoft school. So we're going to use the one that works with Google Slides. So the steps that, excuse me, let me go back a step. When you're using Pear Deck, what you're going to be doing essentially is adding interactivity to your slide deck. So you're going to be encouraging participation. You're going to be answering questions. You can have students answer multiple choice, number questions, text questions, all different kinds of things that you can do to kind of just bring students into your presentation and let them have a voice. So when you are ready to install the Pear Deck add-on, what you'll do, and I'm not going to have time today to go through all of these steps, but it really is very easy. You can create your account first. So you will go to peardeck.com, and you can, from that point, you can find where it says educators, and you just click on educators and you create your account. Creating your account is very easy. Just allow the permissions. You'll sign in with your Google account. You do want to use your district email because you want to make sure that what you're sharing with students is your school information. So you don't want to use it with you necessarily don't want to use it with a personal email. It's just like you wouldn't email students with a personal email. They do ask you to connect to your school, so you enter in your zip code and you'll choose your school from the list. That's just so they can see which schools are using it. So once you get your account created, I find it's easier if from that point you just go to Google Slides and you install the add-on. So to install the add-on, you just go up to the add-ons menu, and you should see Pear Deck in your list because we've whitelisted it with our district now. You still, again, cannot get other add-ons. So if you go to the Chrome Web Store and you're like, oh, add-ons are open, that's not true. You can get Pear Deck. So you can go to Pear Deck. Mine says open Pear Deck add-on. Yours will say install. So you'll install the Pear Deck add-on, and it just goes through a couple steps. Just make sure you allow it. Some people get scared when they see different things popping up, like it's going to access my drive and it's going to access my slides, and that's all okay. You can say okay to all of that. Again, this has been approved by our IT department, so we're all good. Okay, so I'm going to stay in the slides mode this way. I'm not going to present because I want to show you exactly how it works. So I'm going to create a few different questions. You're going to see how to do 4 different types of questions, and then I'm going to have you actually join the session as a student, and you'll see what it's like to complete a Pear Deck lesson as a student. So you'll get to see the teacher side and the student side. The first thing that I'm going to show you is templates. So templates are the super easy way to get started. If you're a beginner and you're a little uncomfortable, you're not sure how to use Google Slides, and you're just new with that, there's hundreds of pre-made slides built in that you can use on lesson builders, learning development, or subject area. So to get Pear Deck up and running, after I've installed the add-on, I just go to the Pear Deck icon up here. So you'll see this. If you don't see that, you can go to add-ons and just go here to open Pear Deck add-on. So I'm going to go to Pear Deck, and what happens is to the right, I get a Pear Deck navigation pane that is essentially my teacher hub. So this is where I want to go whenever I'm ready to add things with Pear Deck. The first thing you see at the top below the start lesson, because we're not ready yet, is the template library. So this is where you would click to get ideas and pre-made slides for all different sorts of things. I just love how they have the littles in here because there's, we know that the little learners are a whole separate group. So they have some things that appeal just for the little learners, and also all different subject areas as well. Pear Deck is known for their social emotional learning templates and critical thinking. So you can browse by any of those topics. And I'm going to say, wait, what do we think? I forget which one I used here. I think it was social emotional. Yep. All right. So I'm going to use this template just so I can pop it in and show you. All I need to do before I click it, just notice at the bottom what kind of slide it is. So the one I'm going to show you is text. And in a minute, I'm going to explain to you why I'm not showing you the draggable. So I'm going to go to click that, and it will pop an extra slide right in for me. So I don't have to have a blank slide ready. It just pops it in, and now I can edit this to do whatever I want. So what do you think about, and I'm going to add a different question because we're going to answer that question later. If I wanted to insert images or sound or additional text, even videos, I can, so it works just like Google Slides does, only now I have an interactive element. Be careful not to delete this bar at the bottom, because as you can see, once I added this slide, oops, I didn't mean to go there, down below, they tell me what kind of slide it is, and they even give me some directions for how I can use that slide. So that's very helpful to have. I'm going to leave this in place, and I'm still building my slide or my lesson. So I'm going to go to my next slide down here on my navigation pane. And the next thing I want you to know is how you can add your own questions that are not templates. So if you don't see something you like in the template, or if you already have a slideshow that was pre-made, you can make it a Pear Deck lesson. So you don't have to redo the wheel here. So even if you have PowerPoints that you used and you're an old school PowerPoint user, just import them into your drive and you can make them, translate them to Google Slides. And again, if you need help with that, just let me know. Once you translate it to a Google slide, you can use Pear Deck with it. So you don't have to redo anything that you might have in your lesson bank. All right, so what I can take an existing slide and I can add my own types of questions to it using these little buttons on the right. So I want to take a minute to talk to you about free and premium. So right now we have access to Pear Deck free. We are allowed to install the Pear Deck add-on and we get to access all of the free features. We have not purchased a premium subscription. So when you see, now right now I'm still on a premium account for 8 trial days. When you sign up as a new user, you get a 30-day trial. So I actually begged for another 14 days so I could show the premium version. I have a little connection with the inside, but if you have already created a Pear Deck account with your email from the school district, you won't be on the premium version anymore. So you'll still have access though to the text, the choice, the number, and the website. The draw and the draggable are premium options. So I'm not gonna really show them today because I don't wanna get you so excited that you wanna use them and then they're not there when you sign in. We also don't have audio at this time. But again, if you're on the free, the premium free trial and you're a new user, if you create slides with these draw, draggable, or audio, and then your trial period ends, you won't lose it. You'll still be able to use those types of activities like in a slide that you've already created. If you go to create a new slideshow, they'll say that they're premium and you'll have to pay. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to show you text, choice, number, and website so you can see what each one of these is like. All right, so I'm going to go to the next slide, and this is where I'm going to show you the multiple choice example. You can either type your question out on the slide like I did, or you can just tell your students what the question is, and you can have them pick. So I'm going to come over to the choice icon over here, and I'm going to click that. And it takes me right in here to what my options are. So I don't know why, but these things keep on popping up. So I'm going to add in my choices to my question. So my question was, so far, how do you feel about doing Pear Deck on your own? And again, this can be integrated with any subject matter. So my questions are all about Pear Deck today, but you can make your questions anything you want. And again, mine are more like, I guess, checking in. You might do this as a beginning of a class or the end of a class, but you can make your questions anything you want. All right, so I'm going to update now. I could add more if I wanted to. Oops, I have a question mark. All right, I'm going to click update slide, and it's adding the question in for me. And again, I see that now it becomes a Pear Deck slide. I don't want to remove this bar because I will lose my question. And I also see at the bottom, it added some notes for me on what the slide now, how it has changed. All right, so I've built a text slide because we can see down here that this is a text slide. I built a multiple choice slide, and now I'm going to build a number slide. So my question that I wanted to ask was, on average, how many times a week do you use slideshow presentations in your classroom practice? And I want you, when you answer this, to just give me a number. So I'm going to go to the Pear Deck pane and I'm going to click number. And I don't have to do anything here because it'll tell me directions that all students need to do is add a number. So that one's done. The next one I'm going to show you is the website example. So on this particular slide, I actually already put the website in because I didn't want to have to go off and search for it. But I wanted to provide this bit of information to you. And when we launch the show, you'll get to see how that works. But Pear Deck actually is integrated with Newsella. So if you're a Newsella user, they actually let you sign up for their daily decks. And you can get every day, get an integrated Newsella Pear Deck that's pre-made emailed to you, or you can just go to the website and search on your own. All you need to do for entering a website slide is to go to the website icon. You search for your internet, or your URL address, paste it in, and update. And then it makes it a website slide. And this is really, really great for younger students, especially who are having a hard time getting to a website. And you'll see how easy it is to find the website when we get started here. All right, so now we're going to talk about starting a lesson. And when you're ready to start your lesson and you're done building all the pieces that you want in place, then you're going to click the Start Lesson button over here on the right. When I do click that, you're going to have two options. You can either do a student-paced lesson where students would move through on their own, or you can do a teacher-paced. Today, I'm going to show you teacher-paced, and I do recommend that you do this first with your students so you understand how Pear Deck works. Otherwise, your students might have questions if you do a student-paced assignment and they're not sure how to use it. So it's great if you can do it as a class together and get to learn it. So all you're going to do is click the Start Lesson button, and you're going to see where I have my choice on where I want to do student-paced or instructor-paced. And I'm going to choose instructor-paced today. Oh, I'll switch computers, so I wasn't signed in over here. Okay. So it's launching my presentation, and I want to point out that this little box, we can see this, right, Dawn?
Yes.
Okay, this box in the front is the teacher dashboard. This is also a premium feature. So right now we do not have premium. You'll get to use it as long as you have a trial, a free trial. If you're on the free trial, you'll have this as long as you're on the trial. But once your trial's over, the teacher dashboard will no longer be available. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to click Got It. But the teacher dashboard is essentially a place where you can go to kind of monitor what students are doing. And the teacher dashboard in the premium version also lets you see how students answer. In the free version of Pear Deck, everything is anonymous. So the kids who answer, you don't know who's answering what. So that's just one of the things that you get when you purchase the premium version. So what I'm going to have you guys do now is you are actually going to join my presentation by going to another tab. If you're comfortable, if you want to see what it's like and you're comfortable doing so, open up another tab and you're going to go to joinpd.com. Once you get there, you're just going to type in this code, and they do these really cute acronyms at the bottom to help you remember what the code is. So mine is Victorious Flashlights, Calmly X-Ray Misty Ninjas. That's a strange one. So once you go there and you type in the code, then you're going to be joined to my Pear Deck. And I can see right here that there are students connected. I have a link here. This is also part of the premium access. So I'm going to just point that out to you, that if you can actually link directly to your presentation and cut out the code. But in my opinion, the code really isn't that hard for kids to do, assuming that they know their letters or can have help typing in the letters. So it's going to take a couple minutes to see how many people join. Although once I start, you can still join. And what I love about Pear Deck is that they keep the code in the top right corner the whole time. So if someone joins late, you can just say, and if it's something you're used to, go to joinpd.com, type in your code, and they can join right in. So this part here, my teacher dashboard that I'm moving all around the screen, typically you wouldn't show this part to students. Like you don't want them to see what's going on behind the scenes.
So should it say slide 10 of 15 when we've done that?
Yes, because you are right now, you've joined my, actually no, because I didn't start the presentation yet. No, Alex.
Okay, mine just, I did join PD.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're on, yeah, you're right. You're fine. I'm on slide 10. You're right. Apologize. All right, so I'm on slide 10 because I started the lesson from where I was at in the slideshow, and this is the slide we left off on. So I use these little buttons on the left and right to go back and forth, so we can see, you know, if we want to go up or back or forth in our presentation. So your screen should be changing as I change, and that's because we're on instructor mode. So if you're on student paced mode, they can go back and forth on their own. I'm going to use the buttons down here. Once I get to a question slide, there'll be more icons. There's a couple other buttons I want to point out. The 3 dots over here will let you go full screen, and then you'll see some more premium versions, or more, excuse me, premium access levels here in the 3 dots. And you can also turn on student pace. So if you change your mind and you're like, okay, well, I'm done with my part, now the rest you can go back and forth and do on your own, you can change your mind and go to student paced if you decide to do that. And then you can end your session there too. All right, so let me go back so we can interact with some of these questions. So here we go. All right, we're on our first text slide. So what you can do now as a student is you should be able to answer this question, because what you're seeing is a version of this slide, but you're a student and you can now answer the question. So if you would like to share your thoughts, what do you think about Pear Deck so far? My little Zoom tools are getting in my way. I can see how many students have responded. I have 26, 27, it's counting up. And at any time that I want to see the responses, I would go to my Zoom tools. I'm sorry, guys, my Zoom tools keep on getting in my way every time I want to use another bar. I'm going to put it up here. All right, so I'll go
I'm always moving those around.
I know, they're always in my way. So I'm going over to show responses, and I can start to see how people are reacting. So you can see some of the great answers. Now, again, you don't know who has responded which way. So that's going to be up to your discretion on when you're ready to share these with students, or if you're feeling like, you know, you don't want to do a text slide, you're not sure what they're going to type in. That would be up to how you feel with your students, how it's going with them. But I can see all of your responses.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see our responses, but
True. You know what? As a student, you don't really get to see the other responses, right?
I can't on my end. I don't know if anybody else.
Right. So you could at that point, like, decide if you wanted to share your screen and show them.
Okay.
Yeah. So at least yes, you're right. You can vet the answers a little bit, and then you can decide if you want to show your screen.
Do you know if that's true for the numbers and the other box that you did as well?
It depends, because there's certain activities that will show, like if you choose to do a number where everyone you can choose, like there's different options basically.
Okay.
In some cases, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm just going to pull up my teacher dashboard here too. So, oh my goodness, it's the first time I'm running this with so many people. I can actually see who responded to what in my teacher dashboard. However, I believe that's a premium feature. So you got to keep that in mind. You don't know who's answering what when you're on the completely free trial, which I don't have the completely free trial yet. I have 8 more days.
So one of the things you could do as a workaround for that is you could have the students type their name and colon and then type their response.
Exactly.
I've done in some of these types of programs in the past.
Yeah, and then you could orally just say, okay, Kara said or Addie said, and you could share the ones that you thought were appropriate. Okay, so I am going to move on to the next slide, and where am I? Multiple choice. And so now you're on the multiple choice slide, and the question is, so far, how do you feel about using Pear Deck on your own? So you can answer the question, and I'm going to pop up my teacher dashboard again. So you're seeing, if you're looking at my Zoom screen, you're seeing what the teacher sees. So the students are not seeing the results, but I can see how people have answered here. So if I wanted to quick take a vote, if I wanted to share this out with students, I could, but I don't have to. So I can see 45 students have answered, and mostly we're feeling like I can definitely do it, or I think I can do it. So that's pretty good. And those 5 people who are saying I need help, please fill out a ticket, let me know, and I'll come help you. All right, so that's how the multiple choice works.
So when you check it, you don't have to enter anything. It just, because I hit the wrong answer, and then
You can change it. Yeah, with multiple choice, it does actually let the students change it until I go to the next slide, and then it's kind of locked in at that point. So I'm going to move on just because I know we're getting close on time and we do have some more things to share. This is the number example. So my question was, on average, how many times a week do you use a slideshow presentation with your students? And I'm going to open my teacher dashboard again to see. So I like how this is presented on a number line, and it shows you the range of answers that we're getting, anywhere from 0 to 5,000. Wow. You guys are busy. Well, also people are probably just playing around with it to see how it works. But you can get an idea with these little numbers how many people are in the 3 range or the 10 range. So that's how the number tool works, the number question. So that's pretty cool. All right, and just for time's sake, I'm going to move on. We're moving on to the website example. So now your screen changes a little bit, and what you should see is like a kind of a dual screen where you see the Pear Deck presentation on the left and you see the website on the right. And all you need to do is click the website to get there. So there's no www. Type this in, type that in, or click the link. If you're on a Pear Deck mode and you started your lesson, they can just click the website and it takes them to where you want to go. So that's great if you kind of end your lesson that way and say, okay, now you're going to go and do the next step, and you can just have them click and they go off on their own to do the next activity. And you could link anything in there, anything that's online. So this is actually a really cool area, excuse me, go back one, the orchard, Pear Deck's orchard. Do check it out because there's some pre-made stuff in there that's really cool. All right, so I'm going to move on again to, we did starting a lesson, we did join a lesson. I think I went through the toolbar pretty good at this point, besides ending the presentation. Oh, lock screens, excuse me, I did not show that. So when you are in question mode, that's the way that you would lock the mode so nobody else can answer. So right now I'm back on number and you can answer again. But if I don't want any more answers to come in, I would lock it. So you see me clicking that down there. So we can stop the answers from coming in and stop students from changing their answers. So that's a good feature to know about. All right, so I am going to after a lesson. When you are all done your lesson, you're going to click end in the bottom corner. And I highly recommend that you give it a name. It will save it, but it gives it like a date and time, I think. So I'm going to call it, oops, let me type in there, PLC and 2:30, so or 9:30, what am I saying? So I remember this is everything that we did. And if you keep this checked, you can keep the student responses on file. So if there's a student who might have missed class and you want them to be able to see all of the student comments, all of the multiple choice, the results of the survey and all of that, then you can keep that checked and you can save and end the session. This doesn't mean that you can't run this one again. You can run this same exact lesson over and over and over again. You're just saving this actual incidence of this lesson. So anything that happened today when it came to the engagement or an activity will be saved. So I'm going to click save and end session. Oh, I have to sign in again because I switched computers. And then it's going to publish. All right. So again, you can share straight to Google Classroom. You can share it with a link. So if you want to show them and they want to go back and forth and see, on their own, they can. But I'm going to return to Google Slides now. Okay. So after you end your lesson, you can, let me get back to where that slide was. After you end your lesson, you will go up to this little menu next to start lesson, and you can go to review sessions, and you will see all of the sessions that you ran, and you can open it. See, this is what I was playing this morning with it, and I can still have it even though I didn't give it a name, but it's helpful if you give it a name, and you can go back and you can review it. So that's a nice tool to have as well. All right, the other thing I wanted to point out to you was this little, actually, let me go, I'll get to that in a minute. So if you want to follow Pear Deck, I have all of the social media stuff here. So if you're a social media person and you like to get updates and you want to see what they've changed or what they've added, you can join and connect with them through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And then I have a frequently asked questions slide because I had a feeling these will be some of the things that you guys are going to ask. And by all means, if you do have questions, then still let us know. But I just want to point out a couple things. Students do not have to log in to Pear Deck. So right here under that menu that I'm coming back to now is this little toggle button that says you can turn it off or on. Now, if you're using the premium version, you're on the free trial for the premium version, this needs to be on if you want to see how people are responding. But if you don't want, if it doesn't matter, it's anonymous, you can turn that off, and it just kind of clears one less step for the students to have to sign in to use the presentation. Can you run more than one Pear Deck presentation at once? Yes, you can. So you could actually have small groups working on different Pear Deck presentations or the same Pear Deck presentation, but in small groups. So you can actually customize a presentation for a particular group of students and have them working on something at the same time that you're running another one for another group of students. Can you, if you make a change to your slideshow while Pear Deck is live, will it show? No. So if I were still running my lesson and I came back and I changed some wording on this slide, it's not going to change for the students in live time. I would have to end the lesson with Pear Deck and then restart the lesson for them to see the new changes that I've made. And then finally, if I share a slideshow with another teacher, will they get the Pear Deck activities? Yes, and everything will be built in as long as you both have Pear Deck, the add-on, installed. So if you both have it installed, you'll be able to use each other's presentations. And if somebody's on the premium account for some reason, whether they paid for it individually or whether they're still on their trial and yours is ended, if they use premium features like the draggable or the drawing, which I didn't model for you today, then you can actually use them as a free user. So they don't take them away from you. So that's pretty cool if you wanted to kind of, I guess it's a workaround to, if you wanted to share the premium version with somebody, for instance, you just have to make sure you share back and forth. So again, you would get the draw and the draggable feature and the audio feature as well.
So basically find a premium friend.
Find a premium friend, yes. But don't go buying it. Don't go buying it. I'm just gonna say that, don't buy it. Because we never know, right, Dawn?
You never know.
You're going to buy it for the district, I heard.
Yeah, let me check my back pocket for that.
All right, so I know we're getting close. It's like 3:30 right now, so I don't want to spend, I'm going to be mindful of your time. So I just want to point one other resource we have for you, and I promise I'll be fast. But if you don't want to stick around for the last resource and talk about digital tools, by all means, you can go. But I am going to post the reflection now, just in case anybody does have to go. So we're going to rate today's training with the top link that I'm getting ready to post in Google Classroom. And if you haven't done so already, take a second, please, to fill out the technology needs assessment, because it will help me figure out what's important to you for future training. So I do use that data to figure out how I'm going to kind of gauge some of the upcoming presentations, such as the November 3rd PD day. So I'm going to save that. Did I not publish? Oh, I didn't publish it, did I? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, good. All right, so you can go, and if you want to move on to the rating today's training or technology needs assessment, or you can stick around for another minute, and I'm going to actually post our last resource for you, which is additional technology tools that Ms. Lambert and I thought were just our favorite ones to use out there. So give me a minute to open this up.
We tried to put some stuff that was a little bit newer. Not everything's newer, but you know, might be newer to some people that are using a lot more online digital activities, right?
Yeah, we tried to stay away from like the ones everybody knows about now, like Kahoot. Everybody knows Kahoot. So trying to stay away from the things that you might already have used or know. But there are some favorites on there that I just had to include. So one couple of my favorites are the Ed Puzzle. I think that it's really easy to use. You can take any video, put it into, get any video from YouTube, any video that you make yourself, and you can integrate your own questions.
So, and I'm not advocating for copyright violation, but I did also find a workaround. Like if you are showing a clip from a video and you can't find it, if you put it on and screencastify it, you can make a video, upload it, and then you can use it in Ed Puzzle.
Yes, you can, because we have Screencastify as well.
Yeah.
So you're app smashing at that point.
Yes.
All right. So Dawn, you want to take a minute to talk about Quizlet Live, and I'll monitor the chat for a couple minutes?
Yeah, so I'm going to actually give my student teacher, Sarah, credit for this one. So we were looking for integrative ways to get the kids talking in their breakout rooms. So I'm teaching this class, Holocaust and Genocide, and we were looking at the stages of genocide. And she said, well, we could do a Quizlet Live. She's like, the only thing is that usually they're in groups and then they get to see the leaderboard up on the screen. That's the one thing when you break them out into rooms, they don't get to see the leaderboard, but you can post the leaderboard by sending into their chat rooms. But basically what happens is they are sent into breakout rooms, they're put in teams, and then the teams each get 4 responses, but only 1 response is correct out of all of the students in the group. So they have to talk about their responses and they have to come to a decision as to which one's right. And they race to try to get all of the questions right. And our class wants a rematch. They wanted a rematch. So we're playing one more time at the end of the week.
Nice.
Yeah.
For those of you who are really in love with your Bitmoji classrooms, but would love for your kids to have Bitmojis, but you know, we can't require they have like the app or a digital, or excuse me, a device to make it on. Pixton's a great alternative, and it comes with a couple different things. So if you go to Pixton, you can, I should have linked these in, I apologize. I'll work on that. I'll get them linked in for you. But we can go to just Google it real quick. And you can actually have your own avatar in this program, and you can have your students make their own avatar. And I just love that you can actually create a class picture with you and your class together. So it's not a Bitmoji, but it's really close to being a Bitmoji. And as a bonus, with the free version, or there's a paid version as well, but with the free version, you can also use it as a comic creator. So your students can create scenes to tell a story, or a comic to explain a problem, or anything you want to use it for. I mean, it is free limited, so you'll see that there's only so many you can make at once. But I find that the free version actually it's doable, and you do get a lot with it. That's fun, and it kind of keeps the kids interested, because especially for the kids who like to design and who like to create, because it will draw them into doing a nice project. And it kind of brings me back to that project-based learning feel, that they're doing something with a higher purpose than just talking about something. So that's a good one. I love Pixton. Flipgrid's an oldie but a goodie. We've been using that for a while. I think a lot of us are familiar with that one at this point, where you can have students answer questions in video format. 99.
I think also with Flipgrid, if you were doing asynchronous learning, that's a nice way to have the kids do some type of for an assessment on whatever they're working on and report it back to you.
Right. 99 Math it's definitely math geared, because it's called math, but it's not I don't think it's created by Kahoot, or it could be created by Kahoot, but it's just like Kahoot, but it's all math based. So there's interactive activities that are just geared towards math, and it's really easy and really quick to set up and to use. So check that out if you're a math teacher, or if you just want to, even just for multiplication skills and that sort of thing. It's a great tool. Go back, where am I? Here we are. Toy Theater, I know this one, I don't know why, it gets me every time, but I love Toy Theater because of the manipulatives, because it just saves you that time from having to create some of these things. Like you just want a spinner, or you just want some dice, or you just want, if you go to the virtual manipulatives, you've got so many things that you can play with. And this is great for demoing and for modeling. If you can get your kids to this page, they can demo and model as well. So if they can get to the website and you tell them where to go, they can use these tools for all sorts of things. And I mean, it's not just math, because they do have some games in here that also could be used for any topic, really. So that's Toy Theater. And we have Coggle. And I saw in the chat that Alyssa Anderson was talking about Coggle. We've used that in P-TECH, and it was a great way to create mind maps for topics on just about anything. And it is integrated with Google accounts. So your students can essentially create a brainstorming map together, or some sort of mapping assignment together. And then also another one of my favorites is Classroom Screen. So be sure to check that one out. You can, I actually did a 2-minute tech tip on that one last year, but it's just really easy to show your students if you are on quiet mode, if you are on, you can do a random grouping from there. You can have there's actually dice worked in, you can customize the background. There's a timer. It's just kind of like, sometimes you just need those things and you need them to be easy to find. And it's like Classroom Screens got you. So check that one out too. I think that's it.
That's it.
Went a little bit over time, but not too bad.
All right.
All right, so you guys take a minute to fill out the rating for today's training. We do look at your feedback. It's really important to us. And then the technology needs assessment, if you get a second, if you haven't already filled that one out as well, to help us gauge future trainings. And if you have questions, I can definitely be here for a couple more minutes. Not a big deal. I can stick around if you want to unmute, or if you want to put it in the chat, that's fine too. So thank you everybody for coming. We really appreciate you taking your time after school to join us today. And I hope that you guys learned something that you can use tomorrow.